I do hope that I've made that pretty obvious that I am not trying to improve any existing stories written by actual authors, nor am I trying to insert my own views and opinions into them. It's just that for me to properly sort out some of these points I'm trying to make for myself without using direct examples from stories that I have encountered before is almost impossible, and wording out, voicing, articulating these turned out to be quite important. So, with a small miracle, I will be able to somehow navigate these unknown waters thanks to these revelations, these discoveries that I have made thanks to these videos. They allowed me to discover quite a few examples of what I do and do not enjoy in a story. An interesting source of female villains that sort of just slipped my mind, at least until now, are classical fairy tales, where there are plenty of female villains that do fall into the category of actual antagonists according to my terms. Most of the time, there is no misunderstood, secretly heroic antagonist trope, but an actually evil female characters that most of the time receive exactly what they deserve from the protagonist, basically receiving the equal treatment compared to their male counterparts in similar stories and positions. Again, obviously the balance is skewed towards male villains, and there is a predominant archetype of female villains in classical fairy tales, which is a type of characters that carry a lot of baggage from our world's history, but still, I am happy that they are there, that they exist, considering their sparsity and all in all rarity in the stories that I have encountered so far. It's been a rather interesting journey so far, trying to recall all the different types of female antagonists that I have read about or watched so far and compare them to the rather large pool of female side characters or even protagonists of their respective stories. And here I feel that I should clarify something regarding my position of most of these antagonists just being some subordinates or servants serving under a male antagonist. I'm not trying to say that every single female antagonist needs to be a leader of some organization. On the contrary, I actually want more individuals in my stories that make their own decisions, take on risks by themselves, and face the consequences of their own actions by themselves, fully aware of anything that might come for them for their evil actions that go against what's considered just in said setting. And if they are a part of some larger organization, to still keep the individuality of all the characters involved, their responsibilities, and possible judgment, punishments they might receive while keeping the ratio of men and women in those organizations somewhat balanced instead of the absolute majority of disposable henchmen being, well, men. Although, again, I would prefer more or less individuals rather than some cabals and secret societies, mafias with hierarchy and so on and so forth. Unless I think about something more to say about antagonists, I think I'm done for now. I do have more to say about characters in my stories and what I would like to achieve with them, but for now that will be about protagonists and side characters from now on. Although I will absolutely go back to antagonists and hopefully I won't just repeat myself after completely forgetting what I've already said and what is actually new. And now for more Rapid Arrow's adventures. Their latest one was trying to solve the mystery of a disappeared collector of stamps, and they were able to find a hidden clue which they are going to pursue from now on. At a specific time, they are to look for a place where the sunshine will fall through a small window. Right before the time indicated in the clue, they are interrupted by a group of boys that are trying to figure out what the rapid arrows are doing in the attic, even by force. So some of the boys are forced to defend their position, finally managing to overpower the intruders, and they manage to find a key hidden under a loose tile. Key that belongs to a door that they have yet to find, so they scour the entire attic for a possible lock that matches the key, and when they do find a small door hidden by some rubble, would be definitely something quite shocking for a group of young boys, teenagers. It's a skeletal body with a note right next to it that explains the situation that the collector was in and the reason for his horrific choice. He accidentally burned a stamp, a very famous one, Mauritius post office stamp, or a blue Mauritius, which led to his untimely death, as he wrote from sorrow and heartbreak that happened after his biggest pride was destroyed by none other than himself. Mirek, as the good example he is supposed to be, notes that no matter the disaster, no matter the unhappiness, and especially one connected to a hobby, should not lead people to their demise. Then they report their findings to the landlord, and with detectives they retrieve the body and fulfill the last wishes of the collector, Maximilian Drap, who asked in the note that was next to his body for whoever finds it to sell the rest of his collection and pay for his funeral, keeping the rest to themselves. And this ends the rather morbid adventure of the missing collector of stamps who disappeared many decades ago before the story of the Rapid Arrows even began. Inside of their club room, Mirek got an idea to create a paddling carriage from old wheels and planks. They make the designs by themselves. Speedy tries to usurp the steering wheel, which gets immediately shut down in the interest of self-preservation. Four boys will be paddling and one will be driving when the carriage is finally done. They do a test drive. They even manage to gather some crowds, an audience that cheers on them and jests about their creation. Their happy drive ends rather shortly and sharply after they encounter a small pit on the road that sends them crashing down and completely dismantles their creation, thus ending any prospects of them using it to travel around the country for more adventure. Again, in the club room, they are making some improvements when Yindra smells something weird, and then they get a warning from one of the neighbors that there is a fire going on, and they decide to quickly evacuate the club room, taking out anything they are able to before the fire spreads too far. Once everything is outside, they form a chain, something they have experience in from the episode with the Dark Riders when they were able to put out a fire that was happening in the yard. But unfortunately, even with their best efforts, the club room can no longer be safe. Then they encounter the landlord that allowed them to use the small shed in the first place, who offers them an alternative, a laundry room that's no longer in the use. They'll have to fix up some things and modify the room to their own tastes, but the Rapid Arrows will not end up without a proper club room, definitely not for long. And here is where I'm going to end it for today. Next time, more epic arrows and some more useless talk about some characters. Hopefully, it won't get too out of hand, but I'm not able to give any promises. So, we'll see in the next one.